it's a pretty screwed up time for Davey. He's got serious drug problems that nobody knows about, I guess, except maybe Davey. All I know is that Davey gets injured, or supposedly injured. I never bought that he was injured. He supposedly got injured with a staph infection and went home, probably about the first week of July, and was off the whole summer. He was just gone. And it was too bad because I only just found out that we were working. And we had I think it was the same weekend we wrestled in Binghamton. I know I wrestled Davey. Vince had us, we had a match. They put us together just to kind of get a feel each other out match before it was Wembley. I'm thinking it was probably middle of July. I know it was just before Davey went home, but maybe it was even June. But I know I wrestled him, and it was awful. Our timing was wrong. It was a real struggle. And I remember when I came back, and Vince looked at me when I came past him. He said, "I hope it's going to be better than that at SummerSlam." And because I think we had talked earlier that night about we were going to go on last at Wembley. Now we were going to be the last match on the card. And I remember telling him, I said, "Nobody will top us. It's going to be the best match, guaranteed, on the card." And so then we had this abortion out there. And when I walked past Vince, he was like, "I hope it's going to be better than that at SummerSlam." And I was like, "I hope so too." I don't know what, and sometimes that happens when you work with each other for the first time. You try too hard, or you're both too tired. And it was at a TV taping, so we got a lot of, you do promos all day, and you can be really distracted. And it's not a good way to judge how you're going to do. So I know for me, I got real serious about the match right away. Once I knew that we were wrestling, I saw it as the opportunity to deliver the greatest match ever. That I could, if Davey followed me and listened to me, I could take him through, and we could have the best match maybe ever. We could really steal a show and really make our mark in the business. And so I would train and tan in the tanning beds. And I remember I would go in the tanning bed and I would lie down and I would envision the whole match. The tie-up, the first tie-up, take over to the rest, every spot that followed, what would come up next. And if I ran into a wall, we're like, okay, what would I do next? And I'd think about it and I'd come up with the idea. And then, anyway, I gradually kind of put an entire match together in my head. And every time I laid down, I could start it from the beginning. It's the identical match that you watch. I mean, it's the match. And I remember going, it's perfect. I got this perfect match. I don't need to change anything. I just need to tell Davey. And I would call Davey. I called him for the whole month of August. I called him every day. And I could never get him. He was always out or never returned my calls. I talked to my sister Diana. He had some real bad drug problems at the time and was totally out of reach. And I think even when he left...
How much is Diana aware of?
I think she's pretty much got to be aware of all of it. I know that Davey, when he got on the plane, he had been up for almost 48 hours, hadn't been to sleep. He'd been on a coke binge and then barely got on the flight that flew to London. And I hadn't talked. I called and called and called, and I couldn't get an answer, couldn't get him to call me, and I kept thinking, I don't know what the hell he's doing. He should talk to me just so I can tell him what's going on, and I'm trying to help him, I'm trying to make him. The match is all about putting him over. And I remember when I saw him in the dressing room in Wembley, we had to do interviews the day before. All the interviews, the one about I think I said something about London Castle or something like that on my promo. That was all done the Saturday. They're all done the day before the promos for the show, the SummerSlam. Okay. And I was so mad at him, and I pulled him aside, and I said, I've been trying to call you for 2 months. Where the hell you been? And then he just confessed to me that he hadn't slept since he got there, and he was a wreck, and he hadn't trained, he hadn't lifted weight, and he was out of shape, and he was a wreck. And he confessed to me that he was gonna stink the next day. Then he was gonna, and I started telling him the match. I said, this is what I want to do. And I started to sit down. I said, and then we're going to do this and this. And I told him the whole match. And he was like, he knew that I had finally, I brought, it was like Beethoven, I brought him the music sheet, and he was like, he knew it was going to be this great match, but I don't think he thought he could do it. But I laid it all out to him, and I went over and over with him that night in the dressing room until he left and went home, went to his hotel, and I got there the next day, and we went over it and went over it and went over it, and even then, as soon as we tied up in the ring, I remember, I think it was the very first spot we did. I took him over in a side headlock or something, and he goes, "I'm fucked. I'm fucked." He couldn't remember anything. He was like blank. And that's one of the only matches where you see Bret Hart talking on it, where you never catch Bret Hart talking in his matches, but you will catch me in Wembley. And it's like, because I had such a great match in my head, and I had to communicate it to him, and a lot of times you just had to call it, and you had just, you know, which I hate doing. I hate wrestlers that I see him talking. And to me, it's an automatic fail for that. But with Davey, I had to do it, and I did a pretty good job of masking it for most of it. But
were you confident that you could pull this off, especially the day before when you see him and he's telling you he's in no condition? Are you shitting?
No, I was furious at him. I couldn't believe it. There's a chance of his lifetime, and I'm willing to. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to launch him as high as I can. Like, I'm going to do everything I can to get Davey, make sure he's, you know, as far as I know, he's getting the belt and he's going to get this big push. And it's going to be maybe he's going to be the next champion. Maybe this is his final, you know, I was all gung-ho for him, and I really wanted to see him rise to the occasion. And you know what? He did rise to the occasion. You know, that's the thing about it, is I tell all this to people when they go, oh, so they lose a little respect for Davey, and fair enough, you can. But the truth is that he sucked it up, and he did every spot. He did everything, and he showed it. And at the very end, you know, I paced him well enough, and I can remember he's power slamming me at the end, press slamming me over his head, and suplexing me, and you know, he got everything done, and I take great credit. I think it was my greatest match in the sense that I carried someone for about 42 minutes of a 45-minute match, and you can barely tell. Maybe only now you can tell, but I think that's why it makes it more important to watch, is because, you know, he was a train wreck that day, and for a long time. And I know in Davey's case, he's always said it was the greatest match he ever had, and I think it was one of the greatest matches of all time, for sure.
Was your dropping to him exclusively to free you up for the world title spot? No.
In fact, I don't think anybody saw it but me. I understood the dynamics of everything. It's hard to say all this now or make people believe that you knew what you were doing, but I had a crystal clear vision. All I wanted to do was the ladder match or this Wembley match, either one of them. I just wanted to have one more classic, beautiful match that would just launch me up there. So I would have had Perfect, I would have had Piper, I would have had Davey, or it could be whoever it is, but I want to have one more big match, and that would sort of, I think, would tip me over as far as being a star, like would give me a real push. And so it was a big night for me. And I knew that I was, in those days, you know, a lot of people, everyone thinks they're the most over guys, and everyone thinks that they should be champion. Everyone thinks they're the greatest worker, you know. But the truth is that for me, I knew crystal clear, that I was the most over guy in England and Germany and Europe. I don't know what it is about what I had over there, but it was, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it for any other wrestler. And I think wrestlers today forget what it was like for me back then. But it was like Beatlemania for me when I got off the bus. I got stampeded, I got fondled, I got dragged down by old women and young girls and fondled. And I mean, this is in the buildings, on the bus, everywhere I went, on the hotel lobbies. It was crazy. I mean,
more so than here.
Oh, nothing like here. Wow. Like, it was insane. It was. I remember Chief Jay Strongbow one time when I went to Germany, say '91 or so. I wrestled Dino Bravo. All right. Well, actually, I don't know who I wrestled. I wrestled somebody. I remember he put me on first match. I was Intercontinental Champion. And he goes, "You're on first." I go, "Don't put me on first." I said, "I'm really over here. Like, it's like this, they're going to wait all night for me." And even then, that night when I got off the bus, was one of the first times I got sort of Malt or Beatlemania, and I remember, don't send me out first. And I pleaded with him. I said, please, I'm telling you, it's a big mistake. And he goes, no, you're on first. Put me out. I went out first, and they stampeded and knocked me over. And then when I had my match, same thing, they tackled me, and all the security guards that were walking me back, we all got knocked down, and it took about 10 minutes to peel me through the crowd. And I remember I came back to the curtain, and there was girls hanging on my neck and lipstick everywhere, and it was like I wasn't in a lot of pain or anything, but it was nothing like I've ever seen for anyone else. And I say that with all sincerity. And I remember when I came through, he said, "I'll never put you on last again, not over here. Yeah, I'll never do that again." And it was like I was on last, and every show I ever wrestled in England or Germany was sold out, or Brussels or Belgium or Italy. I don't know about Italy. There was good houses, but not. But Germany, every show I ever worked was sold out. England, the tour was always sold out. Whenever I was on the tour, it was like it was Bret Hart world over there. I don't even think Vince grasped what was going on there for me. I remember telling him, I said, "You really need to get a film crew and film it so you know what it is." And I remember they sent a film crew over, and I don't know what they ever did with the footage, but they put me in a bunch of East German towns, so it wasn't quite the same. But still, going back to the point is that I was so over in England and Germany, more than anyone else. And it was on a special level that I've never seen, even now. And I knew that when I walked into the ring with Davey Boy in Wembley Stadium, that we were just a match on the card. The whole time we were just a match on the card, and I know people wanted to see Bulldog and they wanted to see me, but you want to see Warrior, you want to see Macho Man, you want to see Ric Flair, you want to see all Undertaker. There's lots of guys on the card you want to see. But I knew that when I went out last and delivered the match that I was locked in my head for 2 months to deliver, that when I lost to Davey with that finish that I used, it's such a such a great finish. It's so. There's no way out. You're locked, you're pinned. It's like so slow and dramatic. 1, 2, 3, and it's like even when I watch it now, when you kick out, it's a very dramatic ending. And I knew as soon as they get the 3 count, I knew right then and there that there's going to be so many people are going to be. They're such big Bret Hart fans. They're going to feel really lousy that it was such a good match, and I lost. Mm-hmm. And I said, there's going to be a rebound. There's going to be a second. There's going to be such a bounce back from people won't want to see me having lost, especially the way I left the ring. Kind of like, I thought it was really well done. But I just, I knew there was going to be a sympathy factor that would play in huge for me. I didn't think I would necessarily win the world title, but I knew that I was going to be more over. Okay. After I lost the belt to Davey, I would be more over than him. I would be more over than I was as champion.
Interesting.
And I was.